Call this, is that ready to go, James? All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll start with roll call. Mrs. Adams.
Have the chat on. So
Yeah, Ms. Adams is joining us virtually. Good evening, Mr. Savitz. Ms. Fitzberger? Here. Mr. Fodor? Mr. Fodor will be absent this evening. Ms. Heinrichs? Here. And Mr. Schmidt? Here. Okay, there was no executive session this evening, but recognition, this is to advise those present at this meeting of the Board of Education of the Bass River School District in the County of Burlington that adequate notice of this meeting was provided in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act. The notice has been posted in the Board of Education office. The notice was also mailed to the Press of Atlantic City and filed with the municipal clerk of Bass River Township. Item number 6 is approval of minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the June 1st minutes as presented?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Ms. Heinrich? Okay, so before we vote, as the board okay, understanding that the minutes will be revised to note that Mr. Savitz was in attendance and not Mr. Kalak. So they're approving under that, under the auspice that Mr. Savitz's name will replace Mr. Kalak's in the minutes. Okay, are there any other questions? All in favor of approving the minutes with the change noted for the attorney, please say aye. Opposed, please say nay. And are there any abstentions?
If you would do us a favor and just give us Mrs. Adams' affirmative or negative when she responds on check.
Mrs. Adams affirmed aye.
All right. The motion carries.
Yep, thank you. All right, item number 8 is the residents forum, or I'm sorry, item number 7, new business. Are there any new business items from the board tonight? Okay, so then item number 8, residents forum. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to comment. Each statement made by a participant is limited to 3 minutes, as cited in policy 0167. The public may comment on any item on the agenda at this time. General public comment will occur later in the meeting. And we did not have anybody on the virtual attendance list, and there's nobody here publicly right now. There is another public comment session coming up shortly. The next matter is item number 1, board work session, and I have 2 updates for the board. One of them is a parent information night. As we prepare for the 21-22 school year, we're going to have Dr. McCooley, the superintendent from Little Lake Harbor, available on Monday, August 16th, to answer any parents' questions ahead of the school year. And just so the public's aware, there are also back-to-school nights that you will receive communication from the Little Lake Harbor School District, depending on which school your kid is in, either ECC, GJM, or Frog Pond. There are different back-to-school nights for each of those. But Dr. McCooley was kind enough to join us for an information night for Bass River parents. I'm going to ask that you RSVP to Cindy Barton, who will help us get everything set up. That's cbarton@lehsd.org. So just send her a quick note if you plan on attending on Monday, August 16th. And then I also wanted to let the board know, happily, that the security camera installation that we approved a couple months back was completed yesterday. All the additional cameras are installed on the school grounds. And that's important to note because we've continued to have issues with vandalism at the school, and it's been a discussion that the board's had. If I'm talking out of turn, jump in. And We will turn footage over where we have video evidence of children or adults committing vandalism on the property. That video will be turned over to the state police, and when necessary, we'll attempt to prosecute if it needs to be, but I think the board is also interested in working with kids that are doing this on community service. But more than anything, we're going to ask the parents in the community to please be aware of where your children are. If you think they may be here, talk to them about the perils of damaging public property. As taxpayers in Bass River, that costs everybody here money when somebody commits an act of vandalism. So please talk to your children, have them treat the school respectfully, and be aware that there is enhanced security coverage here to protect the district's assets. Next item up is number 10, a motion to approve tonight's agenda as presented. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion. Second.
Are there any questions about tonight's agenda? All right, all in,
Can
yeah,
I ask
yes,
a question? Monday, what time is the meeting?
we were going to do 5 p.m.
Oh, 5 p.m.?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to say that.
And it'll be where?
It'll be a virtual meeting, so a
Oh,
Zoom
that's
link will be
great.
provided. So when you RSVP, you'll get the Zoom link in a reply.
Okay. Would it be a good idea to have board members attend it?
Yeah, last time we had board members attend, and certainly the Board of Education is welcome to attend.
Yeah, because it'd be interesting to hear what the parents bring up, what their concerns are.
Well, I think it's really important too to remember that if you have questions about Little Egg Harbor's, like we talked earlier about curriculum in Little Egg Harbor, the best place to bring those questions is the Little Egg Harbor board meeting. And so, and I think that's an important topic for the public as well. If you have questions about curriculum, masks, homeroom assignments, the best place to bring those questions is the Little Egg Harbor Board of Education, because although we'll get information as a board here, those are decisions that come from the Little Egg Harbor Board of Education. So I would encourage parents who are interested in accessing this information to attend Little Egg Harbor's meetings as well. Are there any other questions about tonight's agenda? So this is, all those in favor of approving tonight's agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
And Bonnie confirmed. All those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? That motion carries. Finance is the next item on the agenda. I'd like a motion to approve following finance items A through F. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Are you allowed to ask a question?
Yep,
need
I just need a second
first. We just need a second for the motion, and we can, questions on the floor.
Second.
Thank you. Questions?
Go ahead.
I had 2 questions. I think in attachment A, attachment 1, or the item under A, maintenance, and I think it was lawn maintenance, and it was 14,000 something. Was that for the whole summer, or was that just for 1 month?
No, that was a project to clear out the fence line and retention pond along this side of the property.
Okay. And my second question was, what is the lease payment for?
John, I'll defer to you on the lease payment. So the Santander Bank lease payment,
Was to a
is
bank?
that for the ESIP project? Yeah, so we have taken on no new debt. So the district has several lease payments that we budget for every year, and they're made sometimes twice a year, sometimes once a year. This is one of those scheduled lease payments. Do you recall what Santander is for?
So specifically, I don't know, because the district did not take out any new leases under the administration of Nick or myself. These leases were leases that we inherited that prior boards had approved. They would use leases to purchase goods and services that their budget might not be able to sustain in the current year. So let's say you had $20,000 available and you needed to make a purchase of $100,000, you could take out a lease on a 5-year schedule and repay that over $20,000 over those 5 years, and then you get the $100,000 worth of You did many leases like that. You still have a few $100,000 in lease payments left. It comes up, I probably think 3 or 4 times a year, so
Same one.
I will pull, it's the same lease schedule. We have been paying it off, and it will be fully paid off in 2033, I think is the year. And each year, more and more leases are going to fall off the schedule. I will pull the lease schedule and let the board know that this was one of our leases that was due in July.
And we'll give you, we can show you what was on the purchase agreement for that lease. But this,
Oh, okay, so it's, you're paying for a purchase that you're making? It's on-
that was probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay, I was just curious, that's all.
Yeah, the boards of education take out lease payments often. So it's not an uncommon thing that boards do.
Okay.
So it's just, it does come up though with our board. Everyone usually, I'd say 2-3 times a year just wants to know the balance of the lease payments, and we'll update the board this week.
Okay.
Any other questions on finance items A through F? So this will be a roll call vote, as soon as I can get out of this Zoom window. Okay. Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Ms. Heinrichs?
Yes.
Ms. Fitzberger?
Yes.
And Ms. Adams? Ms. Adams confirmed, yes. That motion carries. The next item up, item 12, donation to the Pinelands Wildcat Shack. A motion to approve the donation of storage totes to the Pinelands Wildcat Shack. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Lynn and Bobby, thank you. Are there any questions about this motion? All right, Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Ms. Heinrichs?
Yes.
Ms. Fitzberger?
Yes.
And Ms. Adams?
Just to confirm, I have Mr. Schmidt on the first and Mrs. Heinrichs on the second.
Ms. Adams confirmed yes, that motion carries. Item 13 is items for purchase. A motion to approve the sale of items to Pinelands Regional Board of Education as per attachment on the agenda. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, are there any questions?
Just a quick question, I'm just curious. What do you sell, what do you receive from Pinelands?
So in this particular case, because we've sold various items to other local entities over the last year and a half,
No, I was just curious as to.
the total of this sale is $3,070.
Oh, so you sold a lot.
Yeah, it's a bunch. This is a lot of tech, like IT equipment. So we have
Okay.
a couple of desktop computers, some cable, a couple of projectors, a
No, that's
TV.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank
So,
you.
yeah, no problem. All right, any other questions on motion 13? All right, so Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Heinrichs,
Yes.
Ms. Fitzberger,
Yes.
and Ms. Adams. She confirmed yes as well, thank you. That motion carries. Item 14 is public comment. The floor is now open to members of the public. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express, with each statement made by a participant limited to 3 minutes as cited in policy 0167. There's nobody present publicly, and it appears we still have the same number of virtual participants at this time. Item 15 is board forum. Would any members of the board have any comments they'd like to share this evening?
Can I make a comment?
Absolutely.
Okay, two questions, and now I'm having trouble remembering. The first one, do you still have a lot of equipment left in the school building?
No, I think the majority of the things that can be defined as equipment now are mechanical equipment, so things like the boiler, the water treatment system, the air conditioning units. and kitchen equipment, and things like the stuff that's in the gym, like the basketball nets. Almost all the other equipment, there might be a couple of like burnishers, like floor, janitorial, custodial equipment pieces. Almost all the equipment has been sold over the last year and a half as part of the district's orderly liquidation of assets.
Okay, well, what I was wondering, if there was anything left, would it be worthwhile to set aside like a Saturday and open any Bass River resident wanting to come in and take it?
That's something that was a question that was posed to the board previously, and I'll defer to Mr. Savitz, but I believe it was Mr. Kalak at the time who advised against having members of the public in to just sort of take anything that's left. What we did do at the last meeting was, and we can ask again, is if any member of the public is affiliated with a nonprofit organization, our preference would be to give all of these things to that nonprofit organization,
Right.
and then have that nonprofit organization open their doors and allow people to come in and select those things. And so I would put that offer back out to the public. If anybody is affiliated with a nonprofit and is interested in taking the remaining contents of the building, which admittedly is not a lot at this point, it's the leftover stuff at this point, but if anybody's interested in taking that and then making it available to the community, you can contact me, and you can reach me at nbrown@prsdnj.org.
Okay, okay, well, I was just wondering because, at one time, I think it was the date that the board members walked through and you showed us all the equipment and everything. And I had wondered if the equipment could be moved outside so they wouldn't be in the building and it wouldn't be a liability. And then they had to have the dumpster if nobody takes it. But the nonprofit, like the Salvation Army or the veterans,
We're open to partnering with any nonprofit who would like to take the items that are left.
but do they know that these items are available?
I mean, to the extent that we've spoken about it publicly at a public meeting that's available on live stream and has been advertised to the public, yes.
We have not reached out to them directly, but the items, the sales and gov deals have been posted on the district's website.
But I will say that we've had a tremendous amount of difficulty finding places to donate the remaining items. And whether it's the books that used to fill this room, they're now in an adjacent classroom on shelves.
Right.
We've called no less than 6 organizations as far out as Philly, and we've had one that said, we'll take 6 boxes of books. So we're looking for places to donate the books to. And certainly we're willing to donate anything else that's in the building. And, if it's a significant asset, I think the board's intention would prefer to sell it. But if it's, things that are of minor value, I think we would be open to donating them if there was an organization that came forward.
Okay, and I remembered the other question, I must have missed out on this. At the last meeting, did you mention something about, as far as putting the school up for sale, putting it out on an auction site to see if there were any feelers? Did you get any feelers?
Well, so the board approved us to begin an auction with a site called Gov Deals, where we would sell the building at auction through that site.
Right.
We need permission from the Department of Education to sell the building. So we don't want to list it on Gov Deals until we get approval from the Department of Education.
Why is everything so complicated?
Public.
It's the the government.
So that, yeah, I know.
How long will that take?
Typically 90 days, but we're coming on that 90-day period now. I was actually emailing with Josh about this last week, and I think our original request went mid-May to them to officially list it and sell it. So I mean, they still have a little bit of time in that window, but the expectation was it was going to take them a little bit longer, COVID-type
Do they
reasons.
typically not approve requests like that, or is it usually just, something that?
I would say it's more formality, but Josh, do you have any insight on that? Do you have any?
But you were just gonna,
Thank you.
okay. At the town meeting, last night, it did come up, the question of what's going on with the school, and, the commissioners didn't know anything. And I was in attendance, and so, but, I actually think if people have questions about a school board meeting, they should come to the school board meeting.
Well, and certainly I've talked to Mr. Bergeron maybe a couple of times a month, and I'll probably see him Thursday. I'll fill him in so that he's aware of where we're at. But they're welcome. Certainly, members of the public are welcome to direct questions to me, and we'll answer them
No,
the
I
best,
know.
the best we can.
Yeah, okay.
Anybody else for board forum?
Do we have anything back on the feasibility studies?
Feasibility study, we got an update from Porzio that will be available at the end of August. So it's a little bit behind the original schedule of July, but not unreasonable considering the challenges the last 9 or 10 months when they began. So
And if feasibility studies are favorable in one way or the other, and they decide it will go to vote, not this November, but possibly,
So a vote, right now, the way the legislation is written, any vote regarding the regionalization of a school district or the consolidation of a school district has to occur in a special election in September. So that would not be September 21. The earliest that could happen is September 22. And so there'd be a lot of time between when the report's made available for the boards of education to disseminate the recommendations from the firm and plan appropriately for a special election if that was the path they wanted to go.
And let's fast forward to September 2022, feasibility study went through, there was an election, and the town voted to regionalize, consolidate with Little Egg, whoever else was in on, that vote. Would they then, Little Egg, or whoever the homeschool is, whether it's Pinelands or Little Egg, I don't know which is, would they then inherit, shall we say, the building and our bills? How
I
does
don't know the
work
answer to
with,
that,
our
but
bills?
I don't know the answer to that.
I
but
know
think
that
that's-
I read in I did read in one study that the homeschool, the bigger school, whichever we deemed was the homeschool, that would become, and then they would inherit, let's say, the building.
I don't believe that to be the case.
Yeah.
And part of the study is to make a recommendation, and part of that recommendation is considering the debts, the
Right.
facilities, and the tax implications and revenue implications for all the participating districts. So I think the best way to answer that, I know it's a little bit of a punt, is to wait and see what the study suggests.
Right.
I do not believe I believe this to be the property of Basswood Township residents.
Okay.
I don't believe that we can just wave a magic wand and say, okay, this is now somebody else's.
Right.
But, and remember that even if that was the recommendation, the voters have to approve
Right,
whatever goes on the ballot eventually. So I think it's a little premature to speculate what that might look like, but that's the purpose of the study, is to try to hammer out some of these details of what do you do with, how does this implicate taxpayers, how does it implicate revenue for the school districts, for the boards of education, and all that stuff. So there's a lot to it, and I think that's
what
why
happens
it's
with our
good.
lease loan that's not paid till 2033? Like, do we still have a board then?
All good questions. The way I understand it, though, is that there's no like home district, that all districts would cease to operate. Essentially, a new district is formed in place.
Right.
So what happens with the debts and assets of each individual district, neither Nick or myself are experts. I probably would venture to guess that even Mr. Savitz is probably, new to that space. So that's why we are paying for the feasibility study, and hopefully it provides those answers to us. And any information we get, we can provide to the board.
Thank you.
I want to, on behalf of Ms. Adams, she said that she's wishing everyone a fun remainder of the summer. She's asked that everybody continue to be mindful of the Delta variant and the COVID mandates, and hoping parents take advantage and participate in the August 16th parent information session. Thanks, Bon. Mr. Schmidt, you got anything? All right. So there is no second executive session needed at this time. Item number 17 is adjournment. Be it hereby resolved, the Board of Education reserve this meeting, if I have a first
Motion?
and a second.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning the meeting at 7:28 p.m., please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Thank you for coming, everybody.